Hello and welcome. Today we've got Alan Fountain, and today we are going to be talking about Trump trolls deep state donors to drain their money and funds completely. And we're going to discuss that and also abortion law and celebrity optics. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel at nicholas.veniamin, where you can follow all my daily news reels. Alan, thank you so much for joining me, sir. How are you and what have you been up to?
Hi, Nicholas. I'm doing very well. I do better when I'm really busy researching, and I've been doing a lot of that lately. We still have a bit to go before we find happiness, but I'm doing well. I'm blessed, and I'm grateful. We're in a war right now, and we've been in it for a long time. So I'm doing very well for someone who has maintained a 9-year daily war. So that's an honest, authentic question. Now,
Absolutely. So you're saying that Ron DeSantis was used to run so that he could drain, or Trump's master plan was to drain the deep state's money or the donors' money, and he drops out, which was a waste of money. And we'd seen this continuously, probably happening with Vivek Ramaswamy. That may have been another case as well with him. Because we've noticed there's lots of Soros's type of donors going on, George Soros in the background there, possibly. And then they're endorsing Trump. I don't know about Chris Christie. And you're saying that currently this is happening with Nikki Haley. Why don't you tell us more around this space?
sure. What I've been doing lately is I'm observing talking points that are coming out in the mainstream media versus some talking points that are coming out with the citizen journalist alternative media. There's a lot going on with psychology right now. A lot of people might not understand the role that psychology is playing, not only in fifth generational warfare, but also in politics. The people that have been in this mission for a long time say, I've been in it 9 years, since 2013, since the child molestation issues and trafficking became apparent to me. So I have this 9-year history. And so the 17 movement information dissemination operation started in 2017, the same time that Trump come out. So a lot of us out there that are the base of this humanitarian great awakening are aware of the foundation principles. So we're now in the psychology of the politics for an election. So what I'm seeing, so from a large audience out there, they understand that we're probably in a scripted movie right now, although we're kind of shifting away from that and getting into election mode narratives. So what's happening is there's a great psychologist out there who is very informative, Dr. Jan Halper Hayes. She is coming from a psychologist background. She's working on the Department of Defense task force. I think she was on an interview with you recently. She's been on a lot of interviews. So I'm observing her interviews and comparing it to the people that came in my life. The people who came into my life were forensic psychologists who interviewed me for the Pentagon. I was a Democrat at the time. They were a Democrat. She talked about in an interview yesterday that she's on a panel with two forensic psychologists that are Democrats, and she's getting the experience so she can learn how do the woke people think. So my point in talking about this is that we need to get away from Democrat, we need to get away from Republican and realize this is a military-led operation to change the danger that is happening to humanity. It's not about politics or thing. Trump was a former Democrat. General Flynn was a former Democrat. So these are people, the Democrat, John F. Kennedy was a Democrat. These people were Democrats. The Democrat Party now has been the old Democrat Party was infiltrated. They were infiltrated by this CCP, Satanist movement, when people started getting their blackmail files flipped on them. So this Epstein-style Khazarian mafia blackmail flipping started happening before Kennedy and also after Kennedy. But there's a secret military division that is made up of humans that are gay, straight, just solid character people that are the military 17 movement operation that is Space Force. So these people are high integrity, has nothing to do with political affiliation. It's about character. It's about the vibration of the human being. And it has nothing to do with orientation, whether or not there was a transgender or whatever. There's Lewis Harms has mentioned it recently, the importance of authenticity. Being authentic is a high form of vibration. So in this psychology coming out with Dr. Jan Halper, she has made me see my journey more clearly, because when the Pentagon came into my life and interviewed me in 2015, I kept trying to navigate, why is this Democrat Party, or liberals in my life? And I realized JFK, when he was a Democrat, we know this is based on the mission statement of President John Kennedy, who wanted to take out the deep state CIA, the people who had infiltrated America's freedoms. He had forecasted they were controlling us with money. And so he wanted to change the monetary system, and he went to tried to change to the silverback dollar. And this is when he was assassinated with Executive Order 11110. So Dr. Jan is letting me see with her experience, she is taking us into a direction of knowing what is important language for the collective consciousness as we move forward. Because a lot of us have dabbled off into the weeds. Is John Kennedy Jr. alive? So these are things that kind of break people's cognitive dissonance. I think it's more important now to focus back on what political narratives are, what was really a present danger. Because there was an interview with a podcaster out there with Robert Kennedy Jr., who is in the Kennedy family, and he says John Jr. is dead. This was just last week. So what that tells me, whether he is alive or not, is that John Jr. is not going to come out in our reality during the election cycle or during any of this time, because that would make him out to be a lying buffoon. And he's not going to be portrayed as a liar. If anyone has any information, so the John Kennedy narrative of saying he's the vice president, he's going to be this is kind of infiltration, deflective. We need to stay in what is reality. There's something in psychology called dialectical behavior therapy. So this is about understanding how two realities of opposite can coexist and both be true. And so that's kind of what's happening in the psychology of the election. We see, I kind of got off on the narrative of I wanted to explain that we need to stay in what is grounded and what we can put we can verify, going forward. So kind of wheeling this back in, I feel like this is speeding up really quickly right now. Remind me exactly what your question was. I want to get back to that, but I was kind of giving some background.
Absolutely. Well, of course. I mean, you're absolutely right. But draining the deep state's money, the donors with Vivek and everything like that, and now Nikki Haley.
Got it. So this is the psychology. So what we're doing is the people that were in this movement, and we followed the military comms, etc. We are confident and feel that the scripted part of the operation is going on the last 4 years. So what happened is anybody who had surrendered or been flipped likely happened when when Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who also became the head of the CIA, we know that they took out Gina Haspel, who was the head of the CIA. So we are 3 and 4 years ahead of military. Well, really many, many years ahead in the military operation of this. But in the collective consciousness, where they're trying to blend it all together, we know that Nikki Haley most likely, I don't know if she fully surrendered. I think that she probably did in secret. And I think Ron DeSantis was either surrendered also, because there was a governor's meeting in D.C. where all 50 governors had to show up. And Mike Pompeo said, we have the CCP list. We know who was selling out to the CCP. You're going to be charged with treason. You better make your decision right now. That was 2019. So they had to have already made their decisions. So what's happening is with Ron DeSantis, Vivek, and Nikki Haley, they are draining their money. The donors who are out there feeding them, they're trying to make them bankrupt, getting more money, more and more money. So Trump is trolling them because in this dialectical behavior mentality, there's two truths happening at the same time. We have our 17 military truth, and we have the truth of what is going on in a traditional election type scenario. But the mass public can only follow what their vibration is. Some of the higher vibration people who are being authentic and that are not selling out for greed, we know that there's the human condition is to follow, to have money, to do whatever. So they may either be blackmailed or they may be following some of the deadly sins of greed, lust, all these things that pull you in a direction that is, easily to sway you. So we did get infiltrated by the CCP. We did get infiltrated by Satanists. And so this all started happening, the world was different back then. And I wanted to just, we're going to likely talk about another topic with celebrities, and I'll save what I want to talk about with that for that. But it's my thing that there's a lot of reverse psychology going on. People are hearing what Trump is saying, but you have to look deeper. And what he's doing, there's something else that came to mind. I wish I could get it right now, but there were things that Trump are doing that is purely reverse psychology. So what he's doing is he's baiting people, and the public thinks, oh my God, he's mean, he's aggressive, he's that. But what it's doing is it's calling out other things. In our movement from a psychology, there are podcasters out there that are getting information for intelligence people. I won't call them controlled opposition. I will call them just wartime gathering. There's something called, what is the term here? It's micro expressions. So they can look at podcasters and they can see the micro expressions on their face to find out if it matches with their words. So there's people out there in the warfare tactics that know exactly what podcasters are lying, what podcasters are telling the truth. And there's some of them out there that are probably not showing their face because they're part of the psychological operation. So therefore, they're not going to show their face to not give away their micro expressions. So, among security reasons or whatever. So micro expression psychology, there's 4 gentlemen out there that are very famous for reviewing a court case, looking at the witness on the stand, and then reviewing what the truth is. They did that for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They did it for famous court cases. So I guarantee you that science is being used on all of us across the podcasting arena, and across the stages. And so Dr. Jan comes out now. She's a psychologist. She's helping us recognize what is the temperature of the public right now. And I noticed that she helped reel in by changing some narratives. We sometimes call ourselves, some of the people call themselves star seeds or way showers. She reeled in the word to talk about what these people are, like I would identify. Some of us have the gift of discernment, which is a vibration relationship with God, Spirit, and Christ. She calls them seers. Mm-hmm. So this will be likely the new terminology so that when we identify this to the mass public, when they explain how some of these people might be more intuitive or gifted, they will use the term seer. So that must be a term that will be more palatable to the consciousness of the masses. So I also saw an interview with Derek Johnson, Dr. Hopper Hayes, and S.G. Anon. A lot of the stuff that you and I covered from the early part of this thing, they are now have have come into the arena as their God has directed them into the process now, probably because they have rested up, have their energy, they're mentoring. So they're out there now with stamina and fortitude to bring in the narrative. Derek talked about in the podcast yesterday some values, some honest values about it's not about gay, it's not about transgender, it's not about this. It's about the character of the human being. And so a lot of psychology is going on. I'm telling you, this military operation is heavy former Democrats. It doesn't mean that they're woke Democrats. It just means that we are moving towards the character of humanity and a God recognizing movement of doing that. So psychology is very important right now going forward, and also staying out of the weeds. When we get together with our family or we get together with friends that we're going to try to that are in the woke Democrat or that are resisting Trump, they don't see what we see about Trump. Because of that dialectical behavior, two realities can coexist at the same time and both be true. What's happening is they're being triggered. So Donald Trump is not only speaking to us, he is speaking to them and triggering them. And this triggering is part of the breaking of the cognitive dissonance. So it's almost like the master chess 5D is happening. So it's very important to stay authentic. No matter what your shame, be authentic. Don't go out and if you've broken the law, don't go out and admit you've broken the law. You get a lawyer, whatever. But I'm saying being authentic with who you are is more important than judging. Like with I had talked about how people are focusing on. We know that the transgender movement is about age-appropriate behavior. What they're doing to the schools. Stop indoctrinating our children before age-appropriate times in their life to have conversations. This is about the Baphomet. That was the Satanist takeover. So we need to not let our higher vibration turn to hate and get into that, oh, those transsexuals, those gays, that's judgment. That's lower vibration. We need to keep our vibration high and stay authentic. These people that might be their authentic orientation. I know in the Native American culture, they celebrate when they had a gay child. They called them two spirits. So we know the Satanists came in to take over America, and they got rid of the Indians, their culture, their authenticity. They wanted to get rid of that influence in America. So we need to be more loving and kind to one another, and also realize when you hear something, think, what is the reverse psychology of that? What could he be doing? You know how you have reverse psychology with a child? He's having to be, he's saying things that are having reverse psychology things. But people were talking about Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. I think that they had whether they're bad or not, they had already signed on to MAGA privately, like a lot of celebrities.
Interesting. So do you feel that Nikki Haley is going to drop out soon, along with maybe Joe Biden? What do you think?
I think that they're going to push them until she got $1 million yesterday after she went out and pretended like she was still able to beat Trump. They're going to still let her drain those money of those people that are the high donors. They're not taking advantage of citizens. But that's $1 million that's out of the deep state election coffers right now. So keep her in there so you can keep draining the money of that side. So it's a reverse psychology strategy. I think this is my discernment.
Interesting. You wanted to talk about abortion law.
Yeah, I've listened to some of the talking points that are very key right now for the election. And if we were to get any people that are newly coming in from the other side, this is a very sensitive topic. I've written an article on it. It's in my blog. You can go read the article that I put out the other points. A lot of people don't like religion to be part of political narratives in America. They want freedom of religion. But we have to understand our world is truly based on spirit, the dark entities, whether it's from the Bible, where they talk about the fallen angels, etc. I'm not going to get into biblical stuff. I'm not a Bible thumper. I have a personal relationship with God Almighty, and that's personal between us. And I have an understanding of what that journey is. We know that religion is about division. There's been many many books of the Bible removed, the book of Enoch, all these things that we don't have a full understanding in collective consciousness. So I don't think the Bible should be brought in. I think we should stick to behavior. We know that there are people that are black hats and there's people that are white hats. The white hats are in service of others. The black hats are in service of self. And also, it's oddly funny that in New York right now, we have these Satanist, child sacrificing, black hat synagogue religion coming up out of the tunnels, coming up out of the tunnels in New York. What is that association with the black hat? That's more of a symbology recognition of black hat. When you think about black hats,
See what you
child
mean?
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underground tunnel and the hats.
The underground tunnels, yeah. And I'm not sure if you've heard, there's a weird coincidence in that the executive order that was used, 13848, that was key about human trafficking and came out early in the Trump administration, that's been being re-signed by Biden. Tunnel, New York's zip code is 13848, Tunnel, New York. What is the coincidence of that?
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Really unbelievable.
So abortion, the importance of abortion, we need to understand that McCrary, the lady who was in Roe versus Wade, she has come out and admitted she lied. She made that up about losing her baby. Her recording and confession is in my blog. It's under the abortion article. And it comes out, and the public needs to realize that this is about Satanists doing their rituals of sacrifice. They're taking these body parts. They're using them for experiments in transhumanism. So the general public needs to understand this is not a judgment about you and a choice you make. You need to understand the ramifications of it being linked to feeding the energy and the monetary system of those people who are human trafficking, those people who are worshiping Baal and Moloch. And this is not normal conversation in our society. But with the movie Sound of Freedom and this collective consciousness news coming out about the tunnels and linking it to the Zionist, Ashkenazi, or whatever that particular sect is, I don't want to offend anyone by appearing to be anti-Semitic. We do know that there's a relation between the former Israel and, under the Zionists versus what we're evolving to now, which is more authentic, because we took the embassy to Jerusalem, so we're correcting all of this mistaken history that came out by the Khazarian mafia. But abortion is not about taking women's rights. I would encourage people to go look into how the connection it is with the Satanism, and we need to come to a fair term about realizing that you're feeding that energy. If you do an abortion like it's a birth control pill, it needs to be a very well thought out decision, and it needs to be done for the right rates. It doesn't need to be because it was made easy for you by a political system that is incentivizing abortion, with the centers out there that are selling these abortion parts. People need to realize that it's a very personal, but also a decision that has a long-reaching effect on a system we're feeding of the Satanist sacrifice. So do your research. This is coming up in the talking points. Go listen to this recordings in my blog where the lady from Roe versus Wade admits she lied and made it up.
Right. Interesting. Well, Alan Fountain, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. Very interesting talking points. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Now, I would like to thank on the point of being authentic, raising your vibration. Along my journey, I've talked about how I've met people in very low places where they're suffering, and I've met people in very high places of being the clothier for a president. There was a gentleman that was at the low bottom who helped me along my journey to become humble. And that humility was, he said his mother told him, a closed mouth never gets fed. And so my humbleness has kept me from being comfortable asking people to support my journey. I've gone months and months without money, and because I was just too humiliated. So the people out there that asked me to remind them that my campaign needs resources, I'm letting you know now it needs resources. If you're willing to donate, I haven't participated in other ways. So I'm taking that leap of faith, and I know the people that support me, that if they can, they will support the journey. And I just want to tell everybody, stay positive. We are winning. This movement is winning. Be compassionate with people on the other side. Don't bamboozle them with all this stuff that's out in the weed. Oh, Diana's married to Trump. Don't do all this crazy stuff. Keep it in the 3D logic and let them build out. It will be shown to them in the public.
Absolutely. I will leave the link below so the viewers can support Alan Fountain. Of course, if you find value in his work, and he's been a great patriot. Alan, thank you so much. And we'll speak again very soon. You take care and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nicholas. Bye-bye.